I remember my first relationship. It was in 8th grade, entering the freshman year. Feelings were high, sporadic, fresh. It was one of those where everyone wanted us together, or they knew it was going to happen at some point. I told her that I love her. She said it back. I told my cousin the news. I told him everything. What I said to her, what she said to me. And he had this to say: "You don't know what love is." Of course, in the moment I got angry and defensive, but he was right. How could I? In 8th grade. So what is love? Well, to many love enthusiasts, philosophers, biology experts, psychological experts, this has been a widely debated topic for many years. There is one thing in common that love enthusiasts have, is that they hate the biological standpoint. When we look at something very attractive, a man or woman, we can't help but look in awe and admire. Say, for example, love at first sight. However, according to Heather Chapman in her article, Love in a Philosophical, Biological, and Psychological Study, this is a natural occurrence. She did an interview between men and women and what it was like to meet their significant others for the first time. And they had fairly similar answers, like, I couldn't take my eyes off of them, all I could see was them, nothing else mattered, everything was blurred out. What's happening here is that in our brain, there's a tiny little center point called the amygdala. The amygdala is responsible for fight or flight. It was releasing adrenaline and cortisol when you're looking at this beautiful person, thus increasing heart rate, blood flow, and pupils dilating, giving that love at first sight feeling. Not only that, the hypothalamus releasing endorphins such as dopamine, and formerly known as the love endorphin, oxytocin. Now, when these are released, these reactions, it's for the sole purpose of requiring said desire, said man or woman. If these systems weren't firing, we wouldn't want to approach this attractive man or woman. And in fact, from an evolutionary standpoint, Heather states that men evolved to like women with big pupils because it represented receptivity to the same arousals that they were also experiencing looking at them too. However, it's not all physical traits that attraction happens. It's also non-physical. And Tibor Agnovia, in his article, he explains that in a love comprehensive theory, the quadruple theory, that it's also non-physical, such as traits like kindness, humor, empathy, increases the attraction rate. Now, is this to say that love is just nothing but the limbic system and neurotransmitters just in a cascade firing? Yes and no. This shouldn't make it a bad thing. It proves that humans were inevitably made to love, made to attract, and biologists, experts use these kinds of studies to invalidate and throw the idea of love altogether away. But if we didn't have these systems, these reactions, when we look at someone, we would go extinct. Why? Because we wouldn't want to mate and reproduce. The sole purpose of why we're still alive, why we're here, why you're here. It proves the rich, deep complexities of love and in the philosophical understandings as we know it. Speaking of philosophy, Plato, a Greek philosopher, once said that love is nothing but the desire and the pursuit of the whole. The Greeks believed that the human was made of 2 faces, 4 legs, and 4 arms. They were complete this way. Zeus, the god of all gods, feared this power, and so he split the humans in 2, condemning them to long forever. So, love in its earliest histories stated that we have no choice but to look for this love, whether that be in religion aspect or a biological aspect. The idea of the soulmate, the sole purpose why humans look for love, is to find the love that completes us. However, every human needs different love languages. The Greeks were very fond of this idea of the love languages. However, in this speech, we'll go over Olha Mostova's love languages, which are 5 words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch, quality time, and receiving gifts. Now, not all are created equal. Even though relationships require all of them to be successful, one person may need more acts of service, or one person may need more words of affirmation. It's a give and take situation. However, studies have also shown that people with similar attributes, such as beliefs, religions, also thrive. Say, for example, both people need communication, or both people need to receive gifts in order to feel attracted to each other. Positive and positive equals a positive. And in fact, in terms of money, some say that money doesn't buy happiness. However, in studies, it's actually proven that money does buy happiness. Whether it was in rich or poor environments, it was true. In addition, sexual satisfaction was also increased. In a simple study, Olha wanted to see what would happen if men and women just merely heard the descriptions of their love language explained to them. Skin responsiveness as well as heart rate increased. So merely hearing it got their systems going. And disregarding the study, love and sex, to many researchers, have been explained that love and sex are one and the same. And explained in Heather Chapman's article, a man once said by the name of Harlan Ellison that love and sex is the same but misspelled. So with all this in mind, between the biological perspective, psychological, philosophical, what is love? Is it biological? Is it psychological? Is it philosophical? Or none? What is it? And in this research, I've leaned towards a more biological standpoint. But there's one major flaw that they all have in common, is that there's a difference between love and infatuation. Definition of infatuation is a strong, foolish attraction to someone or something. The biological, the psychological, philosophical ideas, love enthusiasts are all right, but it's all targeted towards the same definition of infatuation, which is the initial feelings that we have. Ultimately, love is not infatuation. Love is love. Love is personal, it's infinite, universal, and thus making it matter to only the individual that sees it. So what is love? Well, that is up for you to decide.